Ryan.
So to follow Joe Nolan. But I will say, we have an opportunity to plug something here, and I'm sort of the last person here, right? So I can kind of get away with whatever. This can be 20 minutes long. Joe Nolan and I have a podcast. It's called the Art Fight Podcast, and you should find it and listen to it. And he's my sensei and my inspiration. Thank you, Joe. That was incredible. My name is Brian Siskind. I do drone things. I grew up in airplanes. My dad was a pilot in Vietnam, and since I was an infant, I've been exposed to aviation and a different point of view. I'm an FAA certified drone pilot and use drones for creative and commercial pursuits. I see an opportunity to extend the known vocabulary of image making using drones. It's a new medium. Now a high-quality camera can be placed anywhere in space, which introduces many new considerations for art and for document. I thought about the pioneers of photography that inspired me when I started and wondered, what would they do with such a tool? One of photography's great innovators, Aaron Siskind, no relation, began his work in documenting Harlem and in later years moved into the abstract. And he said, as the language or vocabulary of photography has been extended, the emphasis of meaning has shifted from what the world looks like to what we feel about the world and what we want the world to mean. Another inspiration of mine is Harry Callahan. He was widely respected for his open mind and experimental attitude, qualities reinforced by his association with the principles of Bauhaus design. His willingness to follow his muse and do that without clinging to a style always very much inspired me, and I want to keep that same openness in the work that I'm doing. Both Siskind and Callahan considered architectural document early on in their pursuits, and so I've done the same. As I learned drone technology, developed skills and knowledge on how aviation has married photography, I began capturing images like this in burgeoning areas undergoing a lot of change. Immediately I realized that I'm able to put forms together in compositions that have never been able to be done before. As I went about learning the craft of image making with drones, I wanted to pursue places of meaning and focused largely on endangered architecture. The Imperial House, as Vesna mentioned, was one of the few remaining mid-century modern buildings in Nashville, and it was designed by Earl Swenson and Associates in the 60s. It has since been demolished. I also aimed to highlight architectural elements, often hidden in plain view. I was able to capture the gold geodesic dome atop the Regent's Bank on Charlotte Avenue, a unique feature that many drive by every day but never really see, and I think that Buckminster Fuller would be very proud. Massive change is happening. Cities are being built within the city. I work with developers as much as preservationists. I try to connect the two more meaningfully through my work. Surveying the landscapes, I can help people understand what's happening, where it's happening, and to what scale and scope. The often reviled tall and skinny has taken over. I'm able to capture the progress of urban density alongside the contrasting figures and fixtures of the past. There's only a few years' time where this kind of document can be made, and I feel a responsibility to tell this visual story without necessarily an opinion on either side of the typical gentrification polarities, but perhaps just another point of view to consider. Progress has its fits and starts along the road to betterment and improvement. This massive water treatment tank is the centerpiece of the now complete West Park in the Nations neighborhood. During its construction, a gust front knocked down the stories-tall scaffolding. It looked to me like an Anselm Kiefer installation or something from above.
That's amazing.
In the spirit of masters like Siskind and Callahan, I work in black and white often as form, shape, and line reveal themselves. The Nations neighborhood has industrial roots, as much of that gives way to pseudo-industrial facades. I want to capture what has been there all along, and when using a drone, an entirely new world of available shapes and textures are revealed that are usually hidden from view. Drones allow for views and perspectives that sometimes can reveal painterly scenes in mundane spaces like this parking lot. As every surface becomes clean, modern, homogenized, these textures based in movement, if not outright defiance, are muted or eventually paved over. The Tennessee Department of Correction asked me to make a visual document of the famous Tennessee State Prison. The castle, as it is called, opened in 1898, and it was, like much of Nashville at the time, proud and stately Victorian architecture. Access to the prison is very difficult, especially for drones, and this was the first time a drone was allowed full access to the site. The prison is still owned by the state and will likely be sold to a development interest. But while still an active prison for TDOC operations, there are no prisoners there since 1992. The stunning Victorian and neo-Gothic stylings can now be seen from an entirely new point of view. My aim was to help the community see that this is an important structure in its dark beauty and perhaps help it to become saved or preserved. While I was there to primarily document, I seized opportunities to make more abstract photographs. This one showing death row just behind the towering front facade. Many executions took place there, and in the age of mass privatized incarceration for profit, I wanted to create something that looked like how I felt when I was exploring the prison grounds. Just down the street from the prison, Australian artist Guido van Helten painted a 92-year-old lifelong resident of the neighborhood, Lee Estes, or LD as he is known to us in the neighborhood, on a 200-foot-tall grain silo. It's a beacon and an honoring of the past while welcoming the future. Using a drone, I was able to document the artist working high in the air. I filmed and photographed the entire 17-day process. As the artist and I collaborated, I was able to provide him images he needed for mock-ups and the design as well, proving that drones are an invaluable tool for large-scale public art. I think that we live in a very special time. We have tools and we have awareness, we have expanded perception, technology, but none of this means anything unless we all feel a responsibility to those who laid the groundwork before us to lean on and inspire us to build more conscientious environments. The topic of this evening is how photography transforms architecture. You can clearly see examples of this in the new Nashville, accounting for the visual from all angles now. Music City Center has a guitar shape on its roof. Then again, I think everything in Nashville has been adorned with a guitar at this point. But I digress. So really, what's next? And listen, architects, designers, urban planners, you all navigate a myriad of choices in your work. And just as Aaron Siskind and Harry Callahan documented the fall of Harlem tenements and decaying Chicago architecture, I hope to create images that may inspire more inward thinking, expand perceptions, and contribute towards a more conscious and thoughtful urban design. Thank you.